Thank you and good afternoon. It'll be my turn to waffle now because IT apparently is letting me down completely. Not the team here, our own IT. And so if I do start to go off on tangents, apologies. I'll just check, do we have the presentation? Okay. My name is Fiona Cormican. I work with Cluid Housing, which is a social housing association. I'm sure you hear a lot about social housing on television at the moment. Yeah, okay, something's working. Okay, so we're a national social housing landlord. We're a voluntary housing body, and we provide homes to people who can't rent or buy in the current market. And that's a lot of people nowadays, a lot more than it used to be. Cluid believes in a society where everybody has a great place to live. We want to change how social housing is viewed. We want to make social housing a sustainable tenure, a home for life, include it in mixed communities, and make it part of the bigger picture. We want to enable people to create homes and thrive in communities, and by that we mean we don't just provide a home, we help people stay in their homes. If they've got difficulty staying in their homes, we help them stay in their homes. A lot of the reason people are homeless is because they struggle to manage everyday life, bills, all the stuff that comes at you every day when you come home from work that you have to deal with in order to stay in your home. We help people manage that. We work with residents to help them create sustainable communities through involvement in their community. And our tenants come from all walks of life. Many never expected to be in social housing. In fact, I'd say a lot of people in this room were either reared in social housing or availed of a social housing subsidy at some stage in their life. If you ever got rent supplement, and let's face it, a lot of students in the 80s did, correctly or incorrectly, then you were a social housing tenant at that time. So it's not just about the houses we provide. Social housing is a huge part of our lives, a huge part of our society, and yet for some reason we've decided to marginalise anybody who has become a social housing tenant. A lot of people at the moment, people who never in their lives imagined becoming social housing tenants, have lost their homes to the banks. We buy some of those homes under the mortgage to rent scheme, and we keep people in their homes. We buy out the loan and we keep people in their homes. We had an amazing email into our contact centre this morning, which Eileen was just showing me, just a family thanking us after 5 years of stress, misery, being on the very edge, not knowing where they're, what's going to happen to them next. Will they have a roof over their heads? We finally managed to negotiate the deal and buy their property. They now have a home for life as our tenant. Their email was just really, really touching because we changed their lives. So anyway, so that's who we are and what we do. The numbers, there's always numbers, okay? We've 5,500 homes. We've homes in every country in Ireland. We own them and we manage them. We've 13,000 people homed. That's Maynooth, the population of Maynooth. We have 140 staff across the country, very experienced staff. We have everybody from architects, Eileen was speaking here already today, to QSs, to housing managers. We're broken up into several sections. One is a property managed section, one is a tenancy management section, and the other is the new business section where we buy, build, acquire, get units for our tenants. We've 232 million proposed spend over the next couple of years. That's to start on site. And of that, we've 83 million construction programme. And underpinning all of this is there's 90,000 plus people on the housing waiting list. So the numbers are all there. The current setting. Social housing is very interesting because it goes through cycles, the same as the economy goes through bust and boom. A couple of years ago, there was loads of houses. They were everywhere. We could have picked up houses for next to nothing, but there was no money, there was no capital spend. So we had nothing to buy them with. A lot of things changed in the last few years. Basically, we're all familiar with the homeless situation, people homeless, and people, how are so many people homeless? There's a variety of reasons for homelessness, but right now the main one is lack of supply. There aren't enough homes to go around, so the more money you have, the more likely you are to be able to rent or buy a home. So if you're anywhere down the food chain, you're looking at homelessness. And again, people who never thought they'd be homeless are now looking it in the face. Somebody said, and I can't remember who said it, we're all one paycheck away from homelessness. Think about it, unless you've got a big stash in the bank somewhere. Anyway, so the social housing strategy is proposing 35,000 social housing units in the next few years. Money, where do we get our money? Well, basically, we used to get 100% grant funding from the government. It was great. They gave us 100% grant funding. We built the houses or bought the houses. It was all fine, except it took forever and ever and ever. And we had projects that were in the pipeline for years, waiting for funding approval, and all the various other steps that the previous speaker went through, the planning and so on. That all changed in 2011 because there was no money. There was no capital spend, so somehow social housing had to go off balance sheet. So now we borrow money. We go in debt finance. We get up to 30% grant from the government, and we borrow the rest to provide the housing. Complete change for the social housing sector. It was actually the best thing that could have happened to us. It freed us up. It changed the way we work. It forced us to be innovative. It gave us a lot more freedom, and it put the onus on us, the voluntary housing providers, to deliver. We're now borrowing money. There's a lot more risk attached. We can't wait for processes. We can't wait for people to hold us up. We need to move, and it's our money that we're sitting on, and it's our organisation. And that money is for the sustainability of our organisation and the security of our tenants. So we had to change the way we operated and we worked, and the entire voluntary housing sector has to change. So right now we're in a situation where we have plenty of money. We've loads of money. The EIB is offering us money. The Housing Finance Agency is offering us money. The banks are offering us money. Big lack of supply. So we've nothing to spend the money on. So where do we go? How do we get our units? Right now we've been buying completed units. We've also been buying developer turnkey units, and we've been buying up and finished estates. So we get the new units from the market, which is hard to do because our processes are a little bit longer, and I say a little bit longer than maybe somebody who's a cash buyer. So we've been up against a lot of cash buyers when we've been trying to buy properties. We've been up against the big vulture funds. We've been up in NAMA, we get properties from NAMA, and we get properties from developers. But supply is running short, and the units that are left, they're not always in good locations. You can't put people in social housing miles away from facilities. They're very dependent on their family structure very often. You take all of that away, you increase their poverty. Often the units we've been offered are very poor build. I hear NAMA saying regularly they offered properties to the local authorities, and developers saying, oh, we offered our properties to social housing, they wouldn't take them. They were crap. They were terrible. They were in awful places. They were really badly built. There was no way we were going to inflict them on social housing tenants. We have very high standards. Our tenants deserve very high standards, and we weren't picking up other people's botch jobs, to shove social housing tenants in. So sorry if we turned you down and didn't buy your properties. We run regular advertisement for turnkey acquisitions from developers. This is a much better option for us because we get what we want. We get good quality units up to modern standards, and we work with the developers in advance, and we get what we need. Takes a little bit more time, but well worth it. So please, if there's any developers out there, have a look at e-tenders. We regularly advertise for this. We also work with developers on their Part 5 units. We can help you comply with your Part 5 obligation, and chances are, if it's a good site and a good location, we'll buy units alongside the Part 5 units as well. We want our housing in mixed estates. We want mixed tenure. We don't want big mono social housing estates. So developer turnkey, and this is where we're going to see, is IT going to support me or not, because I have a 3-minute video to show you. I have three 3-minute videos to show you. If it doesn't work, I'll be waffling for those extra 3 minutes, but we're going to take a chance and hope we are. This is 25 new homes in Meath. It was done with a developer. It was a turnkey acquisition. It's 70% private loan and 30% government loan. And it's the fastest route for procurement for us. Gets high quality homes to a standard we want. So fingers crossed. It looks like it's working. Thank you so much, guys.
Housing Association. Cluid partnered with the developer of the Seabury Lawns development to acquire 25 housing units, a mix of 2 and 3 bedroom properties. The council advised that they had a very high need, as there has been little or no social housing developed in this area for over 10 years.
Meath County Council is delighted to have partnered with Cluid Housing on this turnkey project at Seabury, Mornington, providing much needed social housing units, 25 units in total.
We secured funding from the Department of the Environment and the Housing Finance Agency, and we've now taken over a majority of the properties in a very speedy time frame.
These houses are being constructed to the new regs, and they're all achieving an A rating, which is excellent for both us and our tenants. They're high efficiency boilers and solar panels to kind of reduce the cost to our tenants in the future. I would say our involvement in Cluid, working in partnership with the contractor, is rewarding for both Cluid and the contractor. A fix during construction is so much cheaper than a fix when a house is completed. It's witnessing quality being built, and it speeds up the handover process for us ultimately to deliver the housing to people who need it.
Basically there's 6 of us. There's myself and Robbie, and we have 4 children. When we walked in and we saw it was a blank canvas, it was really exciting because we're really looking forward to doing it from complete scratch. The finish is absolutely fabulous. It's really high standard finish inside. So yeah, we're really excited about moving in. Now, the fact that the tenancy is ongoing and there's never a risk that the landlord is going to ask you to move out because they want to sell or because their circumstances have changed, I feel that's a real positive.
Integration of the scheme is a very important aspect for Cluid Housing Association.
It's really important to have integrated housing. It makes for a much better community to have people, some that are working, some that are not working, different age ranges, and it helps for a much happier community. People get more involved. There's less of a stigma if people think that everyone in social housing are just on benefits. It's simply not true. When we get the choice, we try our best to have completely mixed communities because we know from experience that it works out well.
It's a very fine example of what can be achieved when a local authority work in partnership with a housing agency, and it is an excellent model in how social housing can be delivered.
Our mission is that everyone has a great place to live. We want to work in partnership with property developers, with the local authorities. We want to deliver this much needed social housing that's required, and we want to roll out this model of delivery across the whole country.
No, thank you. Sometimes a video says a lot more than words. Okay, so what else do we do? Just bear with me. Yes, build. We build property. We advertise on e-tenders for developer design and build projects. We prefer sites with planning permission, and we have a specially constructed development agreement that allows us to stage pay the development, which helps with cash flow issues, which obviously is a big issue for developers, especially the smaller to medium-sized ones at the moment. We also build ourselves. We have an in-house design and build team, so we contract design. We also contract external design teams, and we've worked with many of the architects here today. And we also contract contractors, and we manage the process in-house. Both of these options take all the risk out. We get good quality properties in areas we want, and we have an input into the design, and it's very, very helpful for us because, as Brendan said in the previous video, a fix at the build stage is a lot cheaper than a fix afterwards. So, as Brian and Eva said earlier, from Downey Architects said earlier, it's very, very long, complicated, slow process, the build process, and people wonder why houses aren't appearing overnight everywhere. If we want the country covered in modular building, no problem. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with modular building, but if we're using traditional building methods between planning process and everything, it does take time. However, as I said, we have 83 million euro worth of projects ready to start on site before the end of 2017, and some of them are actually coming to completion now. So there is a movement and there is things happening. It's just maybe not as quick as the media would like. Anyway, the other last thing we do is regenerate. The last thing we do is regenerate. We take on estates and void properties across the country that have been local authority estates that have run down, and there's a lot of void. You hear people saying, why are there so many empty properties? This is St. Michael's Estate in Longford. These units were 42 square metres between the up and the downstairs. The stairs were so steep our elderly tenants couldn't get up them, so they lived in the 20 square metres downstairs. That's what they lived in. That's why these properties were void. Anyway, we took them on, we drew down the money, and we amalgamated the properties 2 into 1, sometimes 3 into 1. Okay, I've actually gone way over my time, so we'll go on to the next video very quickly, our unfinished estates video, and this is one we did in Macroom.
Like every town and village in Ireland, you have properties sitting empty, vacant, not being used. We've empty houses like this, and what we had a similar situation in Macroom, an empty development that needed to be completed. The site, when funding ran out, containers left, it looks like an abandoned site, overgrown, a lot of illegal dumping going on. We could have walked away just as easy and left somebody else worry about it, but that's not Cluid's mission. Cluid's vision is a society where everyone has a great place to live. And what we have today is super accommodation for 29 families off the local authority housing list.
I suffer from mental illness, depression, so I was kind of living out in the country with the family, and I was very isolated out there. We passed this a lot, and you kind of always see what a pity of a building, you know, because it was just abandoned for so long. So kind of when Cluid took it over then, and they kind of showed me, I was really impressed at, because it's just a really nice building.
Oh, it's great altogether. It's great to wake up in the morning, it's lovely and bright. You've got something to look at every night when you come home. Do you know, if you have any sickness, it will help you more. So we were thrilled. I'm thrilled with this here now.
It meets a huge need that we have for people on the housing list in Macroom and in the wider areas. It's right in the centre of town, and it is a model for the way we should be developing social housing in the future.
I think we cannot do it alone. Local authorities on their own cannot deliver housing and the needs for housing alone. So I think we do appreciate and we do support and we do rely on the support of Cluid Housing Association and other voluntary housing bodies. I think, you know, the granary in Macroom is a testament to that we can deliver 29 new homes to 29 families.
And if we keep that to the focus of every new project we assess, and we implore upon developers and builders and lending institutions and local authorities to step up to the plate and go on a journey with us, we can deliver social housing. But not one person can deliver all these things on their own. It's not easy, it's never meant to be easy, but it's very rewarding at the end.
That's our James. I'm going to jump straight on to the last video, if that's okay. And this video tells you why we do what we do.
Solving the housing crisis is about more than bricks and mortar. It's about ensuring that the next generation never experiences homelessness like many families in Ireland do today.
We're always private renting in houses, and the house wasn't a standard for rent supplement, so we had to leave there as we couldn't afford to pay the $500 rent every month. So we ended up homeless, living in hotels from week to week. I had my daughter, Amelia, and she was only a couple of months old. Trying to feed her and stuff in a hotel was tough, and ourselves. So that was hard on us in our relationship. The stress that I was going through, thinking that, is my baby getting the right foods and nourishments that she needs? And to be honest, I actually thought our relationship was coming to an end. We were in a hotel one morning and we got an anonymous number phone call, and it happened to be Cluid Housing. And I spoke to Sue, and Sue had asked us to come for a viewing down in Pound Lane. It was amazing to actually walk in the door and actually look and say, this is my home. I actually have a room for myself, my partner, and a room for my daughter. And we actually had a cooker to actually make some food. So it was actually amazing to walk into a Cluid apartment and actually say, this is my home. Couldn't ask for a better place.
In the next 3 years, Cluid aims to provide 1,500 new affordable rented homes. That's 1,500 happy endings like Diana's. Our mission is to create sustainable homes and communities for Diana, her daughter, and for future generations.
Okay, thank you very much. Just the last thing I want to say is Cluid is a great place to work. You can see why we do what we do. We make a difference to people's lives. We have access to money, we have the people, and we have the huge housing need. We just need you developers and builders to come to us with homes. So check out eTenders for our latest adverts, and in the meantime, pick up the phone or get onto our website and talk to any of us anytime. We want you to help us end homelessness in Ireland. Thank you.